What is up, everybody? Happy Good Friday. It is a good Friday for many, many reasons. You know, there's a lot of things to be grateful for and rejoice in. On Sunday is the day our Lord rose and conquered death, and it's everything that gives us hope. And without the resurrection, everything means nothing. But if the resurrection is true, then we truly have hope in salvation and in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And Christ is King. That he is every day. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today on another episode of the Black Line Brief. I'm your host, Matthew McKim. Thank you guys for being here. It's going to be a great show. Please, as you come in, let's check the boxes. Hit the like, hit the subscribe if you haven't. It's the best way to support a channel. Thank you much. Thank you so much for doing that. Look, yesterday, I'm not going to get into specifics. Maybe in a member live, I can be more specific, but I had a bit of a medical emergency myself. And we'll just say God is real and miracles are real. And, so I'm back and I'm feeling great. So we're going to have a good show. All right. We're going to get right into it. Not much else housekeeping to take care of. There isn't really a lot of people doing lives today. Hopefully everyone caught Zach Costello on Coach Colin this morning. Candace and Barron, I think, are taking the day off. And I'm pretty sure Candace is taking all next week off. And I think Barron mentioned his 21st wedding anniversary and some possible travel plans that he has coming up. And so I think next week, as long as my work schedule permits, I will be going live earlier all week. I'll let you guys know as soon as I find out my schedule for next week, if I can, in fact, go earlier. That would be the dream and the goal. So I'll let you guys know. Okay. Let's see what else. I think that's it. So we can get right into the video. I got a lot of stuff planned for us today. I don't know how much we'll get to. Whatever we don't get to today, we'll get to tomorrow. Because as I went through the Tucker Carlson, Andrew Kolvet, Blake Neff video from, I think it was on the 19th, or it was definitely before the memorial. I timestamped it all. We're going to go through each one, each piece that I have. And so I don't know how long that'll take us, but if we have time, we'll get to other things. And if not, like I said, I'll push it to tomorrow's show. All right. Okay. Looks like audio is good. Let me check with the team. Audio is good. All right. Good stuff. Anyone on Rumble that's watching, please hit the like and subscribe as well. Thank you for joining us over on Rumble. All right. Here we go. And yep.
Charlie and I bonded at the very earliest days because we were both really strong Christians, and that was such a central part of who we were. But we didn't talk about it all the time necessarily publicly. But as the years went on, we both knew that we had each other in that way. And there's two tweets that I've posted. I have realized in the days hence that he was a prophet, not a fortune teller like people think of prophecy.
No, exactly.
He was like a biblical prophet that would go into a nation and call it to repent. That's what he was doing. He was going to these campuses, and he was going on stage, and he was going on the show and the podcast, and he was calling a nation to repent. He went to London, and he called England to repent at Cambridge and Oxford. And they hurled insults at him. They mocked him. They jeered him, just like the biblical prophets. They wanted to stone him, and ultimately they killed him. And that is what Jesus said. He said, what did they do to the prophets? They killed him. And now the other revelation.
You're making me emotional again, because I know that what you're saying is true.
And you guys, I go back and forth on to what degree is Blake Neff and Andrew Kolvet involved? I don't know. It's hard to tell sometimes. watching some of this, what you come to find out. So, and I'm going back over like really who knew Erika Kirk before Charlie, before she came to TPUSA, before she met Charlie and started dating and getting engaged to him. For sure, Tyler Boyer knew her the longest. Andrew Kolvet and Blake Neff came after, came separately. That wasn't like through Tyler and through her, as far as I know. I know I've seen Candace at times say that, in the past, Blake Neff is not as suspicious and guilty. And then of late, say the opposite. I think it is possible, and we still have to allow there be room for that. Erika is the one that's really running most of this, in my opinion, honestly, that I lean more to. They didn't really, at least Andrew and Blake, you're going to hear it time and time again. And in previous shows that we've listened to, they've also mentioned that they didn't really know Erika that well. And you'll hear today too, that they did not spend time with Charlie outside of work. They weren't friends. They didn't hang out. Charlie didn't hang out, as Andrew will say, that the only real time that they had together off the air, not in a public speaking event or on the show, was when they were traveling long distance together on a plane. That was really the only time they got to kind of know each other, whether that be them getting to know Charlie or them getting to know Erika when she was present for the dating and engagement before the marriage and the children. I think it's very possible that Erika, being the one that fed Andrew so much information that we ended, and then she threw him under the bus saying that he went rogue. I think it's more possible, especially because Erika was seen, and I forget who said it the other day. Who did I watch? Was it Barron? Who else have I been watching? Someone said they had an inside source that guaranteed Erika and Cabot Phillips were at the Candle Inn Suites on the 8th. Okay, so if they were there and Erika Kirk was there, that's part of the planning team, right? The preparation for this. It's possible that Andrew and Blake coming in after the fact and kind of being PR and trying to, salvage the image of TPUSA, and everyone telling them Erika is great and Erika running this, op on them. I think it's at least still possible. I don't know. I'm not saying that it is 100%, but it's at least still possible. Because I watch Andrew and Blake at times, and it's hard. Sometimes it is hard for me to see them being part of planning the execution and assassination of Charlie Kirk. And remember, so the less people that are involved in the actual knowledge of the preparation, the execution, and the cover-up, like the knowing that they're covering up the actual assassination, not them thinking they're just helping the team, thinking they're just defending Erika. That's not them knowing that they're covering it up, right? But the people that are actually part of the pre, the during, and the post of the assassination, the less people that are involved in that, the more likely it is that it's possible. The more people you add in and say all of these people are in on it, it gets harder and harder for me to believe that. It would only take key people in certain organizations, like two people at Timpanogos, right? Like the CEO and the surgeon, right? Key people at, you know, in the administration, key people at the FBI, key people at the police department, key people, like high level people of authority in the state of Utah. It doesn't take everyone that played a role that day in searching for Tyler. It doesn't mean all of them knew. It just there's key people in positions of power and authority in these different organizations and departments that if those individuals knew, they could manage this. And I think it's the same thing in TPUSA. Okay. And I definitely think for sure, at least, like Stacey Sheridan and Erika Kirk would be the most involved. I include Stacey in that because she has been by Erika's side, like unattached since the actual day. She was with Erika when she got the news, supposedly. But there's moments, and I say this in comparison with like Tucker, his response to what Andrew just said in regards to Charlie being like a modern day prophet, Tucker gets choked up, like genuinely. Like he genuinely cared and loved Charlie Kirk and believed in him and believed he was a good and honest Christian man. And at times I see that same emotion. I see similar emotions come from Andrew and Blake. Not all the time, and I'm not defending them, and I'm not saying they're innocent. I'm just saying I'm trying to wrap my head around who really could be involved for ahead of time, knowing ahead of time, taking part in the planning of it, taking part in the actual day, and then the cover up as well. And it's more likely the less people we have involved, right? It's more likely, possible. But the more people we say they're all in on it, just everyone, they all knew and they all had a part to play. That's hard for me to accept. So I'm just saying those are my thoughts that I'm trying to figure out as we move along on this. All right, next timestamp. 16. Let me find it. Hold on. 1640. There.
The villain in this story. Basically, it was 2 weeks before he died.
Hold on, let me back up. Actually,
and we would have these moments.
Thank you for saying that.
And on this note, we would have these moments, and I'd be like, "Can you freaking believe it?" And it wasn't. You don't lie.
And I know we watched this the other day. I wanted to replay it because then I see things like this, right? Where, Andrew's natural reaction to an issue, and to me, that goes straight to someone's individual motive. Their character. If his knee-jerk natural reaction to some sort of difficult situation is to lie, that was his first reaction. His first reaction was to lie about it. And that was his advice to Charlie. That was his counsel to Charlie. We should lie about it. We should omit. We should tell a little lie. And so to me, then I see things like this and I'm like, that's not good counsel. That's not a good person and friend to then try to get Charlie to lie. Thank God, like literally, thank God Charlie knew who he was. And his response, no, we don't do that. I don't do that. And anyone that works here doesn't do that. We don't do that here. Now with Charlie gone, okay, we know Erika lies literally like all the time about everything. Who's there? Who's there now to tell Andrew and Blake, no, we don't lie? No one. That's why I go back and forth, you guys. I really am trying to figure out like who's involved and to what degree they're involved. And it's hard because it's like at times you're like, that seems like just too big of a conspiracy that every single person around him would be involved. I definitely think Tyler Boyer and Terrell Farnsworth are involved. I think they had foreknowledge, like Erika. Andrew and Blake, I don't know. Blake, for sure, I don't think he knew ahead of time. I don't think that. See, I go back and forth because then you got to think about the day of, and Blake turns around and walks away, and Mikey McCoy turns around and walks away. And so you're like, oh, that's not a normal reaction. That's bizarre. And then there's moments like that where I'm like, not much else could explain that except for that they had to have known it was coming. They didn't freak out. They didn't hit the ground. They didn't take off running. They just both turn around and walk. Mikey's got his phone to his ear already. So it's like, ugh. All right. Next one. Together. They never hung out with Charlie. They weren't friends. No. And so for Erika to frame it like they're all a family and they're all so close, he said it right there. Blake was asked, have you ever hung out with Charlie? And Blake says, no one ever hangs out with Charlie. Charlie doesn't hang out. He doesn't have time to hang out. And then Andrew chimes in and goes, the best memories they had with Charlie, meaning there wasn't that many to pick from. Literally the best memories that Andrew and Blake have of Charlie are the flights when they were traveling, because that was the only real time that Charlie isn't on air. Charlie isn't doing a speaking engagement. Charlie isn't being pulled away to the White House or somewhere else. Literally the flights were the only time they got to hang out together as people, as individuals. So I don't think Charlie knew them that well. And they definitely didn't know Erika either, because she was around, at least Andrew and Blake. I know Tyler knew her from before. She was only present for Andrew and Blake for like a year and a half. The dating and engagement, after marriage, babies started coming. She was staying home. They've said that they didn't really know Erika until after this event. So it's very possible that she can present whatever version of herself she wants for them to believe. Much like I think she did from the get-go when she met Charlie, dated him, engagement, and married. And so there is this tailored, very, very deliberate, choreographed version of her that she presented to Charlie and everyone around him. And then since she took over, even more so.
And by the way, and I think that gave him the freedom to kind of just go, I'm hanging out. And I mean, if you had to add them up, I've got hundreds of these hours, and they're some of the most amazing because he was so funny and so curious, and so he did. But it was like you had to get him in this mode where you literally trapped him on a plane and he couldn't get out and he was stuck there.
But what is that? I mean, most people,
literally, that was the only time you could do that, is if he was trapped on a plane. That's when they got to hang out with Charlie. Okay, that's when Charlie got to hang out with them. Other than that, it was all business. It was all work.
We're bringing Blake to the brink here.
We were in Provo the night of, and it was like we were all shell shocked. And Blake was there with them when it happened. And
what is Blake doing? Let's. I don't want to back up too far. My cursor's so big that it makes me jump back pretty far. But so 3650. Hold on. Because what Blake did, it's like he got into character. I can't tell if Tucker thinks Andrew's sucking up to him right now or not. Based on Tucker's face, the way he's looking at Andrew say these things. And anyway, the what Andrew is saying about Tucker, I believe, is true. right? That Tucker seems to treat everyone the same and is the same person. He's not different off screen as he is on screen. And I think the same thing was said about Charlie time and time again. And that's why one of many reasons why I think Tucker and Charlie were so close.
You would just be like engrossed in this deep conversation, and I would feel bad, oh, I gotta grab Tucker. He's got to go on stage in like 5 minutes or something. And I love that about you, man. And I just want the world to know.
Well,
that.
thank you. No, I mean, I love people, and God created everyone. But it's also true that I grew up in rich people world back when it.
Yeah, he ends up talking about how, in the even though he grew up kind of affluent, that they treated their housekeeper and waiters at the country club with respect, and the only thing to get you kicked out of the country club where he grew up is if you like disrespected people that worked at the country club or at the house, and that the people that worked, his nanny or his housekeeper, they were always invited to like Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff. I don't know. I believe Tucker when he says different things about his life. I don't think he's a liar.
At specific thing.
Charlie wanted better elites. And
yes.
And
just said is Christianity. In Hinduism, there's a caste system. In Islam, if you're not a Muslim, you're a second-class citizen. In the secular world, there's no way to ground these moral values and the moral worth that every individual has. The only worldview that does that is Christianity. And that was the worldview that Charlie and everybody here at this table right now wants to demonstrate is true and try and persuade young people to follow.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I love that you said that. I think that is indisputably true. I think it's provable. I mean, the founding documents still.
I don't know why Frank is always wearing that shirt. He doesn't wear a different shirt. I mean, we'll get to another clip of him later where he is wearing a different shirt, but it's like after September 10th, that's one of the only shirts he owns. All right, let's get to the next one. Some of these, here we go, 750, 740.
Bless you. I know you've had to deal with the conspiracy theories and why'd you touch your hat at this time? Because, that wretched video. I mean, but bless you, brother. I just want to be a character reference for you. And
I mean, you don't really need to be a character witness for someone unless, there's something real to that accusation that's happening. There isn't any good, real explanation as to Frank grabbing his cheek like this and then grabbing the bill of his hat like that. Why he has his phone out, but he's not recording. He's not on a FaceTime because you can see, because when he was on the other side of the tent, when Charlie was throwing out hats, you could actually see he was on FaceTime. It was either with his wife. He said it. He's told two different stories, his wife and then his daughter and son-in-law. But when he gets to the right side and he's posted up to the right of Charlie, behind and to the left of Brian Harpole, and he's also to the right of Dan Flood, because Dan Flood and Charlie are right there. And he's got his phone up and he's holding it out. And then most recently he said he had it horizontally. He's retold different stories every time. Every single time. What about the drone footage? He said there was a drone when he came in there. He was looking at drone footage. And then he tried to change it and say, oh, no, it wasn't drone footage. It was someone that was on the roof up above. He told different stories about who gave CPR in the car. What happened when he was in the SUV. There's no real good explanation as to why so many of these individuals, their story keeps changing. It shouldn't change at all. especially whatever you said in like the days, the hours, days, and like recent weeks right after the event, your memory will be the most clear of that event. And it's a traumatic event, period. So you would be remembering it regardless. It's kind of seared in there. But for sure, your retelling of the event closest to the when the event happened would be the most accurate. But the further we get away from the event, the more these individuals' story seems to change. And there's no honest and good explanation as to why that is, unless, as Candace and Barron and other people's videos, another video comes out, new information comes out that seems to contradict or conflict with their story, they seem to have to change the story. It happened with the bullet in the rifle, or the bullet in the wound, right? They found the bullet just beneath the skin. Oh, it went in, it went up, and it hit, and it went down, and then it fragmented, and then it was. They changed their story based on the more information that comes out. And that just shouldn't happen if they're just telling the truth. If you're just telling the truth about what happened that day and that's it, then you just tell what happened and then it stays. So I definitely think Frank is very suspicious and just a very dishonest individual. All right. That was 50. Hold on. 5740. All right. Let me go to the next one.
And that you mentioned it.
And again, totally fair in my view to ask sincere questions. But I think it's important to remember the big picture, which is whatever happened, it was a species of the same phenomenon, which was the fight of evil against good. And his murder was an attempt to extinguish the light, period.
And I agree with that. I think it's super interesting, you guys. I wonder, because you're going to hear later, Andrew Kolvet say directly to Tucker how good of friends him and Charlie really were, and how much Charlie really valued his friendship, and valued Tucker's voice in his life, and just how much he valued Tucker in general. What about now? They dedicated a whole week, TPUSA, America's Voice, The Charlie Kirk Show, Andrew Kolvet and Blake Neff dedicated a whole week to attacking Joe Kent and Joe Kent's story. Tucker had him on. Tucker validated what Joe Kent said. Tucker said at one of the last times Charlie came to his house after the Hamptons retreat, he came and told Tucker who, like Bill Ackman and all of these other individuals who he named, Tucker didn't name them all, but that they were all giving and putting a lot of pressure on Charlie. I wonder how they feel about Tucker now. Tucker's talking about, at this stage in the game, already believing we can't trust the government, we can't trust the FBI, because he's been calling out, the Jeffrey files. Him and October 7th, him, Megan, and Charlie Kirk were when Charlie was still alive. That we needed more honesty, more transparency, more questions, and that we shouldn't just accept whatever they tell us is fact, especially within the first 48 hours. They figured it all out. And so without really saying, look, I don't believe it was Tyler Robinson and the whole narrative, he's saying we deserve a thorough, transparent, and true investigation into this, and that there's good cause to question the feds, to question the state of Utah, and that we should demand the truth and not just accept what they tell us. I think Tucker doesn't know some of the parts of the story. His total affect changed. He looked off screen. Andrew doesn't say who he's talking about yet. It's Terrell Farnsworth. But when he hears what Andrew's saying, his total demeanor changed. Tucker's did. His face, like, totally changed. There is no good explanation other than covering up something, because you're going to hear Andrew's reasoning of when and here's the other thing. Andrew even himself says, and I'll play it, don't worry, guys. He asked Terrell, why did you do that? So either he did ask him that, and that's where I'm saying that, like, maybe Andrew and Blake don't know as much about the before, but they took part in the covering up part, like, unwittingly. I don't know. Terrell, for sure, I think, knew ahead of time. He knew he had to take that down. He went over, ran, and did his little selfie. His excuse for Terrell, or Terrell's excuse for himself, it makes no sense. You'll hear it, and then I'll give you my 2 cents.
First of all, they're in the possession of the FBI. Okay. It's not like he took them and, like, ran off with them.
No, he did take them and run off with them. We know that because he had the time to download them. They're on his computer. How else would he have given them to the FBI? I mean, how else would he have been able to give them to Candace, right? He played them on his computer and recorded it for Candace. So he had the time to download them, possibly change them in some way. And how do we know they're actually with the FBI? Because you're saying they are? Because Terrell said they are? Okay. How do we know it's the unedited, original, raw footage from that day? We don't.
Second of all, I asked him personally. I said, why did you do that? And he looked at me, and this was his answer. He said, because I know people can be evil.
That makes no sense. I agree with Tucker's face. I don't see how that is justification or defense for taking down the SD card, because he knows people can be evil. Look at it. It's like Blake's thinking about it. He's like, I don't know. What?
And he did not want that footage being grabbed by somebody. There was videos of people after the incident going and stealing hats off the table. I mean, so I'm so grateful.
Blake almost looks like a prisoner. Did you see his eyes? So Andrew's talking, and Blake is like in some sort of weird MK, combat ultra trance, looking down, and then his eyes like go back and forth to the left and right. And then Andrew starts saying, this is what was happening that day. And Blake is just emphatically shaking his head. Really, yeah.
He did that. And that was his instinct. He's like, I'm depressed to know that was why I did that. But I knew that I had to protect that footage because you're recording in like 4K, And so I'm so glad he did that. But Charlie knew the existence of evil. And
can I say,
yeah.
I think that people can feel the existence of evil, and that, just to put in a sympathetic word for people who are trying to make sense of this and coming to the wrong conclusions, I think they're motivated for the most part by pure intent. I think they don't trust the authorities. They have every reason to feel.
Well, that's not true, Tucker. He didn't say he didn't trust the authorities with the info. Andrew's talking about someone there that day took the SD cards away, not to give them to the authorities. He wanted to shield the world from seeing them because they're captured in 4K, right? As Andrew said, but we all saw them, everything in high definition. Okay. It's already out there. Oh, he wanted to protect Erika from it. Okay. How is she going to get it? Even if he didn't take it down, right? If he left those in the cameras for the FBI or the local police, because it's a crime scene and he shouldn't have touched anything, the next people to come and get it would have been the FBI or the local police. It wouldn't have gotten to the hands of the public. The whole premise of why he took it and why he said he took it is a complete lie. And he told Candace something different.
That way, I know that for a fact. Not the Trump administration in general. Like,
yeah.
we're not, there's been a lot of lying, and it's corroded the trust. That's not their fault, actually. They're the victims
That's a
of
good
it.
point. Thank you for saying that.
There are, of course, bad actors who are doing it for clicks or whatever, but I guess, but there are far more people who love Charlie. They loved what he stood for. They feel like he was murdered by evil. They're absolutely right. They're not sure what variety of evil. There's no authoritative person to tell them. So I guess I'm just not surprised at all. This is a message I've told to a lot of people.
See, even Tucker's leaving. He did not make up his mind like Megyn Kelly. He has not once said he's 100% positive Tyler Robinson is the killer and that he deserves to be in jail and, get the death penalty. He's even saying, we don't know what kind of evil is responsible for taking Charlie out that day. I just find that this is 9 days after the event. Okay. Tucker's been pretty consistent on where he stands on this.
Charlie's wife.
Yes,
I do. But we gotta be honest, right? Tucker doesn't have the best track record with being able to sniff out BS in the moment, right? Okay, he's I think gotten better over the years. Like his response with, COVID was a lot better than his response with 9/11. But I also think we should never underestimate how good of a one-on-one actress Erika is, like with people in person, one-on-one, and what kind of ability she has to convince people in person, face to face, that she is an authentic, genuine individual. We'll look at her with Caroline Leavitt in a bit. There wasn't much there. She was the one interviewing Caroline Leavitt, but there's 2 points that we're going to look at that are interesting. But anytime I've seen her, Erika Kirk, on camera, publicly, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced at all of the Christian, traditional, caring, loving wife, mother, widow she is. I'm not alone in that. I have some reference. I had a Christian mom. My mom's still alive. I have a Christian mom. She just doesn't live near me. I have a Christian wife. And you have friends, right? Like, how Christian women, mothers, wives act. And then you have Erika, and it's like, it just doesn't match. But I'm trying to say that just because Tucker's like vouching for her based on his first impression of her, I don't know that really means anything other than the fact that Erika was good at getting him to believe what she wanted him to believe about her. That's what I'm saying.
The thing I just realized last night. So Andrew Breitbart dies in 2012. That
March 1st.
That inspires Charlie Kirk to start Turning Point USA in 2012. Guess what else happened in 2012?
But remember, that's not even entirely true. So that's a weird telling of the story. Charlie had already started SOS, his own individual, like, libertarian, movement to reach college students. And then he did that speech, and was it Bill Montgomery approached him and offered to take it, and together they started Turning Point. So I don't even know why Andrew's phrasing it like, because of the death of Andrew Breitbart, Charlie single-handedly started Turning Point.
And we talk about people getting prepared and these little like nuggets that you think about. I just realized this. Erika Kirk won Miss Arizona in 2012 and hung out with Donald Trump in 2012 because of that.
I know.
And so I don't know. There are no coincidences. And
I agree, Andrew. I don't think that is any sort of divine providence that you're trying to frame it as. Like that's some sort of indication that God had this plan for Charlie and that Erika was always part of that plan, that simultaneously as Charlie was moving up in the movement and creating and growing as a Christian leader and man and turning point, that Erika was being built up through Miss USA with Donald Trump. That's not the same thing. In fact, I would say she's going that way. She's going down. Charlie was going up. If you go back and look at what she was doing back then in 2012, she was 100% in the boss babe, engrossed in her ego, in herself, in wanting to be famous, in wanting fame, fortune, and money, dating all of these secular, non-Christian, athletes, living with one of them around the world. So having premarital, encounters with one of them. They live together in different countries. Okay. It's just ridiculous to think that she remained celibate and waited for Charlie. She didn't, for sure. She was drinking and dating, which you're allowed to do. Everyone's not perfect, but it's not like her life was preparing her and she was making choices that was bringing her closer to Charlie.
But you can just see how God was preparing them. And Erika as well, Erika grew up with a single mom. Yeah.
No, she didn't. I don't know why Tucker is saying, yeah. I mean, if all people know about Erika is what she has told them and what we have heard and seen from her publicly, and most likely Tucker hasn't watched Barron, Tucker hasn't watched Candace's episodes to come to understand that Erika has lied. Erika's dad and stepdad played a role in her life continually. She had a plus one. She had a dad, a mom, and a stepdad. There was never really a single parent moment in her upbringing. And to frame it like she was raised by this single parent mom, which is all part of this narrative, which then she could then make the statement, that's the one thing I'm not afraid of because I saw my mom being a CEO. Now I'm a CEO. I saw my mom being a single parent mom. Now I'm a single parent mom. It's just part of this image, this choreographed and tailored version of herself that they've presented to all of us. Like, this is all divine providence. Oh my gosh, her whole life has prepared her for such a moment like this. Wow, it's like scripture come to life in technicolor. That's what Erika would say. In fact, she said it multiple times.
Made you more conservative?
100%. Which I didn't think was possible. But 100%. Absolutely.
How is that even possible? There's so much that troubles me with this, like watching them together, because there's a part of me when I'm looking at her, I'm like, there's glimpses of genuine affection. It seems. And then like in the next breath, I'm like, that's bizarre. That behavior, that word, that way she's looking at him, that reaction doesn't fit. I never get that feeling from Charlie. Like when I watch him talk about her and look at her, speak to her, speak about her, I've never gotten the impression that it was fake, phony, or not real. I just didn't. And it's not that I'm being, not objective about it. That's me. I'm just telling you that's for real how I feel. We're supposed to believe that she was already very conservative. So conservative, she says, I didn't think it was possible that I could become more conservative. But then I had kids and became more conservative, which is a fact. I know that for everyone. Like for me, you have something outside of yourself that you're responsible for. That's literally a piece of you. It's like a part of your heart is out there in this crazy freaking world that is full of sickness and death. And it kind of terrifies you. And you, at least for me, I can speak on my behalf that it makes you become extremely conservative. And so I believe that statement, that latter part of that statement is true, that after she had kids, she became more conservative. I don't believe in what preceded it, that she was already very conservative and that she didn't think she could become more conservative because she was so conservative. Because all you have to do is look at her life before she met Charlie, and there wasn't one inkling of a conservative Christian woman in any of her past. I'm not lying about that. That's a fact. If you guys can point me wrong, find something, email it to me where you can point at something she said, did, or who she was prior to Charlie Kirk, where you're like, right here, total conservative Christian woman right here. I haven't seen it. So that's not real.
And do you
And
think,
a better wife.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's the realest thing ever. It's hard to talk about your marriage because no one believes you. Of course, because it's like it's your wife. You can't say anything bad. But like, I just know for a fact that that's true.
It's really true.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, I should note, because I can't control myself, that there was a picture of them in Maine, which they loved. That makes me sad.
Yeah. Well, Charlie was bad at vacations.
Yeah, terrible at vacation.
So he was in Maine this summer on vacation, and I just loved how it kept like, oh, well, okay, Fox and Friends wants me to guest, so we're going to take the weekend, like the best days of the vacation, where he could actually maybe, and Erika was just totally game for it. She was like, cool, let's go to New York.
No countries that follow Christian marriage, like they're.
Hold on. Let me go to the next one. It's at 124. I don't think that is true. Zach Costello on his show yesterday said when he first heard that, he thought Andrew meant about the case, about what happened to Charlie, about the suspect, about, did they catch, who did it and how they did it and all that. I never thought that. So for Zach, he kind of was hearing that for the first time with a fresh pair of eyes and ears to then think, wait, so actually what we're talking about here was they were asking Erika what she knew about everything in Charlie's life that was happening before the assassination, everything within TPUSA, all the donors, everything. And she said she knew everything. Well, that can't be true. She said she didn't know about the text message, that he was afraid for his life. She has completely defended the donors. She completely turned course on everything that's happening overseas in Iran. Everything with Philadelphia. She's the biggest supporter. What he was doing and saying at the end of his life and what was the biggest points of stress and focus for him, she's completely been either silent or turned the opposite and done the other, complete other direction. And either she didn't know or she did know, and she could say that she knew everything, but she knew. And that's part of what the planning and preparation for taking him out was for, because she did know everything. And they had to get him out of the way so that they can put her in so that she can do everything in the other direction. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. If you can explain me a better explanation as to if she truly knew everything, but everything she has said and done since September 10th has been the opposite of what he was doing, what he was saying, what he was going to do, then make sense of that for me. Because it doesn't make sense if she truly knew everything. All right, we got Jane. Jane, were you here the other night? I shared your super chat on Zach Costello, I put it up on the screen. I don't know if you were here live or you caught it on the replay, but I was giving kudos to you and to this community that, like, I didn't know you did that. Someone had to message me and said that you did it, like that's this community, right? And I just wanted to say thank you so much for you to do that. You did that on your own, and it brought like a genuine smile and almost tear to have Zach recognize me publicly like that. I know that he showed up here and gave a super, but he did it on his own show. But it was done because you're super. And he didn't have to. He could have just read your super. He went above and beyond and said so much more. And I said that's such a testament to the type of person Zach is. And the reason why I even got choked up about it is because I've put so much hard work into this since we've started. I've only taken like a couple days off for like my kid's birthday or like having a medical emergency yesterday. But that I genuinely am putting my true self out here. I'm putting everything who I am into this channel and into this community. I genuinely care about what I do here, and I genuinely care about you guys. And so to have someone like Zach publicly recognize me like that was just phenomenal. And I thank you for doing a super like that. So thank you. All right. So Jane says, was Erika with Charlie at Tucker's house after the intervention at the Hamptons? Some say they hear her in the background of the taped show. What taped show? Are you saying that Charlie did a show at Tucker's house? Maybe you could put that in the chat. You don't have to put another super in for that. But so we do know Erika was with Charlie at the Hamptons meeting. We do know that Charlie came straight to Tucker's house after the Hamptons meeting. But I don't think Erika was there. She would have had to fly home and be with the kids, in my opinion, because they were already on the East Coast. They were already gone for a couple days. Tucker didn't say, he's spoken about this night multiple times. He spoke about it with Theo Vaughn. He spoke about it with Joe Kent. He did not reference that Erika was there on either time. And so I'm led to believe that Erika wasn't there just because, Tucker's never said that. But I'd be interested in what you're talking about, that she was at the Hamptons. I know that she was there for that, but I don't know when you're saying some say they hear Erika in the background of a taped show. I don't know what taped show. Are you talking about? Is that when Charlie went on Tucker's show? Was that really in June or July of last year? I thought he did that earlier. I'll have to go back and look. If that's the show you're talking about, when Charlie went there, I thought he went there just to meet with Tucker. But if that's also when he taped the show with him, I'll go back and watch that. I don't think she was there, in my opinion. Kids are born. They were gone in the Hamptons for the retreat. If he was going to fly and stay a night, because usually people come to Tucker's show, they come the night before. They usually eat dinner, a long dinner together. They wake up and have breakfast with Tucker, and then they film the show the next day. That's the routine that Tucker has laid out time and time again. So I don't think Erika was there, but I'll find out, and then we can talk about it tomorrow. Thank you for your super, Jane. All right, Renita. My Lanier in chat had observation of the camera footage from behind, wanting to play that again. Looks like it's been modified before showing Candace. Okay. I can pull it up. I'd have to pull up the one from Candace's show. Or, yeah, if you guys can put in the chat, I don't remember which which episode that is, or maybe Mystic or Bree can email me that whatever Candace Owens episode that was, and is here tonight. Okay. Yeah, so if someone can email me the actual Candace Owens episode where she played that, we can look at it. But what do we have to compare it to know if it was modified? How can we even tell if that's the only one that's been released is hers? What do we have? What are people saying they have to base, that claim on, that it's been modified, is my question. Let me go to the next one. Thank you, Renita. We also have Shannon Curtis, Hear Me Roar. Thank you so much for that. And Apocalypse Now. Thank you, Apocalypse Now. Yeah. Stick around to the end, Apocalypse. I got something for you. Okay. Let's finish. We're almost done. We only got a couple more parts in this, and then we'll be done with this clip, okay? Ooh, I almost pulled a Baron. There we go. All right, we are at 125. All right, I need to go to 131. Give me a second.
People would ask Charlie a lot, buddy, and if you do it, he will double down. You saw it in that clip. My mission is to confront evil.
Oh yes,
and to proclaim the truth
wherever it is. Yeah,
that's why I just don't understand how they could not be speaking about, Okay, I just received that from. All right, I'll pull that up, you guys. Give me a second. I just don't know how Erika, Andrew, and Blake could not be honest when they're talking about the pressure that Charlie was really under in the last days. That's what doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, and that they could be like downplaying it when he clearly is talking about it right here. You know what I mean? All right, let me pull this up. Hold on. Let me share. Okay. All right. Cool. Let me get down in the chat so that we're all caught up. All right. Let me go there. Let's see where the actual photo from behind is, though. Where does she play it on here? Does she play it in the beginning or does she play it at the end? Hold on. Let me find it. Those are the crime scene photos from that day. I think it's coming up right here. All right, here it is.
His dad and his uncles and his cousins and their relationship with Lori Franzfey dating back to 2013. And it's all not looking good. None of this is looking good. Anyway, let's get to some of this video now. We're going to scrub through this, but we'll show you. Let's get to the first few minutes of this, and then I'm going to show you some other parts. Remember, I'm on screen record here, so you can get to this. And by the way, I think at some point they said they didn't have the footage. They have the footage. Okay, Terrell was at his office when he showed me this, and here we go. You can just play this, and if you guys are just on audio, you'll obviously need to come cut this on video because I can't really describe, obviously, the question is being asked. At this moment right here, we had assumed initially that was his recorder or something. I can confirm, you'll see later, that it's whipping fast and it looks white when it whips fast, but that is in fact his necklace. That is his necklace. And I find that for some reason to be very strange that the necklace goes up first. You can see this obviously. And by the way, there's no gore in this. So you don't really need viewer discretion because like I said, which kind of broke the internet, the bullet didn't go through, and not only did not go through, it didn't even cause any sort of a mess. His perfectly white t-shirt was white until the moment that he hit the ground. Skylar, we can get to that portion, I guess, where they can more clearly see Well, first we can show them the magnet that's still on him. I guess we'll get to that. Yeah, there you go. We can pause there so they can see that that is his necklace, and it's I don't know how to describe that. I don't know if you would say it's still on him. There was a lot of story.
It's caught in his collar of his shirt, and I'm going to show you. There's a part that I want to talk about the necklace. So
everybody had a personal story about Charlie's necklace, which struck me as very odd.
And actually, I want to take the time to talk about this now. So Zach and I were talking about this today. And Blake Bednards has found this as a point of an issue with Candace. Okay. Back in September, she was told, and she relayed to us, that she was 100% positive that Charlie was shot from the front with a bullet. Recently, like in the last week, she has said allegedly, and she has talked about, and after speaking with Barron, right, she even talks about the exploding mic. She talks about John Bray. Zach and Coach talked about that today. This is what I believe. She had people running ops on her from inside TPUSA, or so Andrew Kolvet is relaying information to her, or someone in TPUSA that was a source telling her about the autopsy, someone that guaranteed you could trust the autopsy, right? I think she has relayed information to us at the time that she did believe to be factual. I think when she said that she was 100% positive he was shot from the front with a bullet and that it was a smaller caliber, I think she believed that. And I think at the time it was a source that told her that. And I think that source is now not trusted, right? I think so much has come out since September that she now probably knows she can't trust that source. And I don't think we can trust the autopsy. And Zach has said the same thing. And I agree. I don't think we can trust the autopsy. What up, Pops? Let's see. Matthew, take your vitamins plus 2 aspirin and call your mother-in-law in the morning. Keep up putting out interesting and informative content. Good job. You didn't say go, Matt, go. Love you. So I don't think Candace was lying to us. I don't think she was lying at all. I think she was telling us at the time what she believed to be true. And I think so much has come out since then that she now believes that that's not true. And in fact, that they said that a bullet was found just beneath the skin. Well, that's not true. Okay, well, now they found a bullet jacket fragment that's so tiny or so small or so destroyed that they can't even test it to the point to have a conclusive result. It's inconclusive. They don't know. They don't know what it is. They don't know. They can't say. And then you take into account the bizarre, just straight up impossible shirt movement and necklace movement from a bullet supposedly hitting him in the neck, which you don't even see until after the shirt movement. The shirt and the necklace move first, break, fly over his head, shirt jumps up on this side, and then as the necklace falls on his back left shoulder on the backside, and the shirt comes down, that's when you see the wound. And it doesn't behave like a high velocity wound, right? You would have high velocity blood spatter. It would be like a pink mist. What we saw was like a blunt object that like cut its way in and it was lodged. It's stuck there because we didn't see any kind of blood splatter. We see the wound and a delay, and then we see like this thing fall out, and then the blood pours out, which seems to be dark, oxygenized or deoxygenized blood from the brain. Thick, and his heart was most likely done beating, so it's not pulsing out, it's just pouring out slowly. Go, Matt, go. Thanks, Pop. So I want to show you guys some things, okay? Let me go. Let's see. Where should we go first? We'll go here. This is the necklace. All right. Let me make it bigger for you guys. This is not your average run-of-the-mill necklace. Okay. And Erika, with her, high-end taste, look at the chain, look at the links on this. Okay. This is from that day. Okay. This is from September 10th. This is a very heavy duty, probably very expensive, maybe even very, very unique, one of a kind piece of jewelry. Okay. Here's another picture. It's not some flimsy little chain. It's thick. It's a very thick chain. And I'm getting to it, so just trust me. All right, I shared that one already. This is the actual necklace, all right? These are Erika's hands and fingers. These are the 3 pendants that were on the necklace, okay? And that I already showed. All right, now let me show you the actual clasp on the necklace because it's a heavy duty clasp. Okay. And I had a better picture at one time of the clasp. It sends, I can't find it online. I don't know where it is. All right, let me go back to it. It's a very heavy duty clasp. And what we end up finding out, what happened that day was that the clasp didn't break. If the clasp would have broken, right, it would have just fallen. It would have just fallen like this. It either would have fallen through the shirt or the 2 pieces would have snapped and kind of fallen and would have hang, and they would have just hang on top of the shirt and kind of caught on the collar of the shirt. That's not what we see. We see it kind of stuck on his left shoulder, and that it breaks actually at his xiphoid process down right by his sternum where the actual pendant hung down to, because it was a big necklace. All right. It was long and it was thick. And this is where Barron pointed out on his live yesterday that it's possible, and I spoke with Zach about this, the 2 possibilities that I think are way more likely than anything else. And it's for sure not a bullet. In my opinion, for sure not a bullet. But either the road mic, right, and the explosion and the force acted upon the necklace from under the shirt, pushed it down, it snaps, it bounces up, flies over his head, and then the piece of the road mic shoots across, lifts up the shirt, right? And then the battery, as the shirt comes down, the piece of the battery or the battery in full goes into the neck, gets stuck, and then falls out. And then we see the blood. Or it is the necklace, that there's some sort of military grade technology or something on the necklace, on one of the pendants or all the pendants or 2 of the pendants. And then when a certain frequency, a certain noise, a vibration, or if it is remotely triggered through the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, I don't know. Barron said this as much as well, that he speculated that it could be something we don't even know exists, some sort of technology. And in fact, John Bray and I spoke off camera about this, and I think he talked about it on the show when he was with me. The pagers were remotely detonated. We know that. The walkie-talkies weren't. They were not detonated through radio frequency or any kind of mode like that. Some of the battery packs themselves detonated. They weren't even connected to the radios. They were just separate. The ones that weren't even turned on, ones that were, these things got detonated some other way. Some other technology exists that detonated those walkie-talkies that John Bray goes, It doesn't make sense. There has to be some sort of technology out there that could do this. You know, and if Philly is involved at all, and if Mitt Romney, right, and high people up in the LDS church like Terrell Farnsworth and Tyler Boyer are connected to Mitt Romney, and Mitt Romney's connected to Benjamin Netanyahu, and the government connections through ours and theirs, their technology that they use to, you know, make the pagers and the walkie-talkies. And that was many years ago. So the technology's even further advanced since then, that people had access to that and used that we may not even know what we're looking at, but we do know we're not looking at a 30-06, a lone gunman, 22-year-old, you know, college kid shooting from the Losi Center. Say that. What do you think about Nino's theory that Trump dared Erika to sue because knows the truth? You should watch his segment on it. Very interesting. I think it was simply a PR move. I mean, wealthy people believe in bankrupting people, bankrupting people, suing people. That's their tactic. It also is his way of saying that he stands behind Erika, right? That he agrees and supports Erika by making that statement. But the reason why Erika hasn't done anything, I think nothing else could be concluded more than this, is that she knows not to do it, because then it's a two-way street. You do that, Candace Owens now has a direct connection, ask for questions, and you have to give them to her. So there's a reason why she hasn't. She sued other people, or at least sent cease and desist letters. I don't think it's because there's nothing there and Trump is saying you should just sue her. That's not what I think. But I don't know who Nino is. I'd have to go look up who Nino is. Okay. Was that the last? Super cool. Let me get back to the videos. Is Nino like a YouTuber? All right. Let's see. I have quite a bit of different ones. Let's go to this one. All right. This is Jack Posobiec. And after this, we're going to go straight to the Caroline Levitt and Erika Kirk. There's only 2 parts, and I have them timestamped, so we'll get right to them. But it's interesting to watch Jack. He's such just a fake person.
Thank you for having us here at George Washington University for Turning Point USA. And I got, I don't know, a little bit of a question. Do we have any patriots in the audience tonight? Do we have any moms and dads or future moms and dads in the audience tonight? And I'm just saying, if you're single, look to your left, look to your right. This is a good spot. I'm just saying, hey.
Hold on. He'll get to the part about Charlie Kirk, but I'm going to answer a question from Apocalypse Now. She said, did they want it to explode on his chest so that the gunshot to his chest would be their excuse? Yes, that has always been John Bray's and Baron Coleman's, and anyone that has not accepted the official narrative. We've never said that the neck wound was the goal. It would never have been, because if the 30-06 and the Tyler Robinson was the narrative and the patsy set up ahead of time, the thing that would have made sense was if a 22-year-old non-professional shooter could get up and pull this off. The biggest target is center mass, right? And that, like, okay, maybe he aimed direct center and he ended up hitting him up here. Okay, that it has always been John Bray's and mine and other people's position that what we saw that day was a variable, was an accident, his neck wound. And that's why they had to pivot. That's why they had to come up with all these theories, because a 30-06 to the neck with no exit wound doesn't make sense. But that if the shape charge and everything would have worked out the way it was supposed to, it would have gone through here and would have had an exit wound. And in fact, John Bray thinks that there even still might have been an exit wound. He points to a picture from that video from Candace Owens, the back video, that there's like this stain that appears at the very end of the video. And I don't know if it's on the one that she showed, because I think he did, some sort of, I don't know, something to be able to draw out the contrast more. But that you begin to see some sort of stain on the back, which was, he believes, the beginning of the exit wound, and the stain transfer onto the shirt, even making him wear a white shirt that day. Yes, because I think he's never worn a white shirt. You can go back and look at all of his Prove Me Wrongs. They're either always black shirts, or they're dark blue, or just always black. I've never seen him wear a white shirt. And that it would have been for effect. Yeah. All right. Let me get to, let me go here first. All right. Caroline. He spends a long time. Let's see.
You're going to have those moments, and it's ups and downs. It's all of it. But if you agree on the big picture things, if you agree.
All right. I forget which part he's talking about it, but we're going to go right to the point with Erika Kirk and Caroline Levitt. There's just two that I found interesting. It's really the only 2 points where Erika speaks. So, where she answers a question. Let's see.
From the student, I can't see. Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, that's the very first question, but her answer is right. 2730.
Diversity in higher education viewpoint in our nation's capital.
I'll just say, from the experience of seeing my husband do it, he was so courageous, like you talked about going to the Lion's Den, that he gave his life for free speech. I think, and I've said this before, the more that you take light out of dark places, the darker it will get.
Has no one talked to her yet about her eyes? Someone hasn't talked to her, like, you got to work on it. Like, you doing this all the time? They're making a lot of videos, and you look very scary. You look crazy. Even some might say psychopathic, right? Elizabeth Lane and Candace, and I agree. Yeah.
So I just pray that each and every one of you, especially students, look to my husband as the example to speak with truth and take your freedom of speech from the standpoint of responsibility, of engaging in discourse and dialogue, but doing it in a way where you are obviously standing for what you believe in, but also giving the people who don't agree with you an opportunity to share why. Because when you listen, then you can respond better, rather than just, being like, oh, we don't agree on anything. You might actually agree on more than you think, but I just want to encourage you guys to continue to watch my husband's videos and see how he engaged. And even what I loved the most is seeing the evolution of him being on campus. At first, he would hold the microphone.
Do you guys remember the question? I know I only played the end of it, but I think it was Barron that was talking about this the other day. It's called something that politicians do. If you don't know the answer, I can ask my father-in-law. You just keep talking. You just keep talking about whatever until you finally get to the end. Everyone has forgot what the question is. She does that so many times. Oh my goodness. That was more just about her being weird and not answering the question. She doesn't give us any really good intel there, but this next one. All right. So 131.
That's a good question, Erika.
From the
while I
standpoint,
sit here and think.
from the standpoint of telling them career versus family.
Yeah.
Well, from my experience, before I met Charlie, I
So
did have my own company.
And she didn't. Her company didn't exist until after. There was no website or anything until after her and Charlie were together. And even then, it had like 3 items. Okay. The young lady asked about, can she explain the role of young Christian women in balancing, career and a family? Which one should they pursue early on? And this is her answer.
But I built it in a way where once I met Charlie and then we got married and had a family, it could run on its own. So I could focus on being a wife and being.
That's not true.
With my kids. And that was my priority. That was everything to me.
No.
I don't think there's a one size fits all. There's single mothers out there. There's people that have different.
Hold on, let's back up. She said that was everything, like past tense.
Of telling them career versus family.
Yeah.
Well, from my experience, before I met Charlie, I did have my own company, but I built it in a way where once I met Charlie and then we got married and had a family, it could run on its own. So I could focus on being a wife and being with my kids. And that was my priority.
That was her priority. Okay. It's not your priority anymore.
That was everything to me. I don't think there's a one size fits all. There's single mothers out there. There's people that have different circumstances. I think you really need to pray about where the Lord is taking you. And if you do have a husband that's supportive and you are blessed to be a stay-at-home mom, that's just as much of a massive role and a job as being a CEO of a Fortune 500 company.
Then why? That's weird that you compare those two things, because you are blessed enough to be a stay-at-home mom. And your kids are now 2 and 4. Back in September, they were 1.5 and 3.5. I think they're close to 2 and close to 4. I don't know Mac and Gigi's actual birthday, but they're closer to 2 and closer to 4. Mac is almost 2 and Gigi's almost 4. You have more than enough money to be a stay-at-home mom. You don't have to be a CEO. That was your responsibility. That was what was important to you. That's what it should be continually the most important thing for you to do, because Charlie no longer has the ability to have any kind of impact or say or presence in either of those little kids' lives. And now you're not even there with them 90% of the time.
You are the guardian of your home, and raising your children is the most precious blessing that you could have as a woman, because as a woman, you were made to be a mother.
Then why aren't you doing that? That's what bothers people, is that you're saying these things. You're saying this to this young lady, but then you're doing the opposite. You've said it time and time again. Balance is a myth. Balance doesn't exist. There's no way you can do both, especially a massive, organization like TPUSA and you being the CEO of it. All the traveling, the speaking engagements, working at the headquarters Monday, the news never stops. So they're doing shows on Saturdays and Sundays as well. Charlie worked from home. He had an in-home studio because of that.
And so I just would implore anyone who is struggling with that option to really pray, and you and your husband are able to make that decision together as what's best for your family and your children.
Yeah. Okay. Doesn't match up with what you're doing, though. So there's that. All right. So Frank Turek did a recent Prove Me Wrong event. We're just going to listen to 2 parts. All right.
Good evening, rebels.
Let's see what he says in the beginning.
You guys are quiet tonight. Actually, Kenneth said we were going to do Q&A. That's not true. Instead of Q&A, I think we're going to do all Q, no A. So everyone gets to ask a question, takes all the pressure off me. All right. So as you well,
nobody laughed. Frank, you're not funny, bro. But it's good to see you in a different shirt. I'm glad someone did your laundry.
know, a little over 6 months ago, we were
It's so weird that he starts out every event talking about that day. You guys, like, for something that is that traumatic, supposedly, where, you know, is supposedly the most traumatic thing he's ever experienced in person. He literally starts every campus event that he does, not just the one at UVU. Go back since September 10th, every time he's gone to another campus event and did his apologetic tour where he does his whole why God exists and all that, and then he does Q&A at the end. He starts out every single event with that day, retelling everything about that day. It's just so weird. It never was like that before. He never did that, obviously, because it hadn't happened yet. But like, to change his whole process, that now every event he does this at, he tells this whole story about that day and how traumatic it was. Like, that doesn't make sense to me unless he's part of crafting a narrative. He's going to all these college students, trying to persuade them of what to think and believe about that day.
just flipping hats out there at Utah Valley University when 12 minutes later.
That's a good camera shot too, because supposedly right up, actually it'd be right there. It'd be this corner because it's a step up building. This step, and then it goes here, and then here. This would be the top of the Losi Center. Not this corner one, but this one back here. That's supposedly the corner of the building. And if he walked out at like 12, so supposedly Tyler Robinson is already up there. Or he gets up there at 12:05, I think. Or is it 12? He's up there for 8 minutes before he crawls out to the corner. 12:23. So, like at 12:14, he supposedly walks. 12:15, he gets on the building. So he's not out there just yet.
An assassin struck.
I don't think he was out there ever.
And Charlie was dead. As you know, it's in the news today that the bullet, they're unsure if it matches the gun of Tyler Robinson. They didn't say it didn't match the gun of Tyler Robinson.
Guess who's not supposed to be talking about that event at all? Mikey McCoy, Blake Neff, Frank Turek, and anyone else that was a witness there. They're not supposed to be publicly talking about that day and that event and everything. And yet, Frank is talking about it every time he does a campus event. It's insane.
You're unsure, that it's indefinitive at this point, and that often happens. But it appears there's a lot of evidence that Tyler Robinson is the real killer. In fact, we were just at that campus just 5 days ago.
It appears there's a lot of evidence that Tyler Robinson is the killer. No, there's not. It's all circumstantial, twisted versions of what supposedly happened that day that you guys all use to point to Tyler. Like his DNA being on the rifle. His DNA would be on his rifle, dude. It's his rifle. It's his parents. It's his family's rifle. Who are the other 5 people that are their DNA's on it? Who's actually on the roof? Where's the rifle as the person, Eagle Boy, is walking towards and then up onto the building? Where's the rifle? Where's the rifle and him jumping off the building? Where is it? Can't fit in his backpack. Isn't down his pants. Where is it? Not there. Okay. What about the whole text thread? Oh, yeah, my love. BS. Oh, yeah. Remember, go look at the confession note I put underneath the keyboard, but then rip it up. But before you rip it up, take a picture and make sure you keep the picture so then the FBI can use it. Okay. Oh, and the parents saw the picture of him, the same Eagle Boy picture that isn't Tyler Robinson, doesn't look like Tyler Robinson, and supposedly identified their son from that stranger. Yeah, BS. Oh, no, they looked at the video of the kid jumping off the building. You can't tell who that is. That's Eagle Boy. But Eagle Boy is not Tyler Robinson. So, okay, so they didn't identify him. That means they're not the ones that called the LDS police officer. He's the one that reached out to them. Hey, look, guys, everyone's looking for your son. We need to get a hold of him. They think he did it. Oh, wait, no, they saw the grandpappy's gun online on the news and were like, oh my gosh, that's my father's gun. That's Tyler's grandfather's gun. Nope, that's just a stock photo pulled off the internet. That's a modern day, hunting rifle, 30-06, 30 caliber, black, modern materials. That's not a World War I, World War II era Mauser 1900 30-06. Nope. Not it. So they didn't look at that gun and say, oh my gosh, we need to call my son and ask him and then supposedly this whole text communication happens. Son, where's grandfather's rifle? Send me a picture. I need to know that it's in good hands and that it's, not in the custody of the FBI and state of Utah. So that didn't happen either. Oh, he turned himself in, but then he stopped cooperating. Yeah, he never turned himself in. He never admitted guilt. No. Oh, he implied it. Go listen to Governor Cox. Oh, he implied it. No. Didn't happen. Oh, he was suicidal. Oh, no, he was afraid for his life. Okay. Can't be both. All right, let's go to the next timestamp. 139:25. I think the only thing that happens here is this kid begins to ask him a question, and Frank never ends up answering it, but I think he cuts him off because he was afraid where the kid was going with it. Let's hear.
You have been through.
Well, thank you, brother. A lot of people have prayed, but I'm more concerned about Erika than I am anybody else. Erika was here when? Like in October? Day before Halloween, October 30th. I mean, she's doing well, but she needs a lot of prayer. And we have these baseless and sinister attacks coming against her and TPUSA that are right out of the demonic. Let me just say one thing about this, because it needs to be said. Notice that Jesus and the apostles say,
oh, there's going to be slanderers, liars, and murderers. We've had a murder. They are lying, and now they are slandering. He says that at every event. Watch.
That Satan is a murderer, liar, accuser, and slanderer who wants to kill, steal, and destroy. Notice we had a murderer. What have we had since then? Lies, accusations, slander in an effort to kill, steal, and destroy.
Oh my gosh, I called it.
And you don't believe in the demonic? Could it be any more clear?
That you are.
That's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say this, shame on you if you're fueling these idiotic conspiracy theories.
Shame on you, bro. How dare you get up and judge anyone in the public that's questioning the insanity of the official narrative? And you're not above reproach.
The trial hasn't even started yet.
Oh. That doesn't mean we can't ask questions.
You know what God says about abusing widows? Go to the Old Testament theocracy. You know what he says in Exodus 20?
Oh, yeah, he'll smite you with a sword. Yeah, he also talks about being able to discern between, a real widow and someone that's self-indulgent. No one's attacking the kids. No one's threatening the kids. No one's questioning the kids. Erika's a public figure, massive organization, CEO, and is not beyond our ability to ask questions about her, to point out her lies and her inconsistencies, her bizarre and abnormal behavior. She's not a grieving widow. She never was. Now, the further we become from the event, the less and less she ever shows anything like grief. So the only time we ever saw her grieve was in the beginning, and it didn't happen even then. Stage, choreographed, scripted appearances. She was given the questions ahead of time, had time to prepare and practice her answers, her responses. Her PR team said, yes, go with that. I like the way you did that look and the tear, and yep, that's good. That's gonna be prime time TV. Dot the I. Yep. You've been dotting the I's too much. People are questioning your handkerchief. Let the snot and the tears roll. Okay, because then there's other times her appearances she doesn't have the hanky at all, and it's just all glistening. Taking a video of herself, her Stacey Sheridan, head of gifts and major, of donations and major gifts, open casket. Yeah, film this. Put this on social media. Yeah, that's not weird. Same day, next day, whatever that day was, it was right away. She'll do that. So she'll have us in to something that's way more private, an open casket scene between her and her deceased husband as she's crying over him, kissing his hands. That she's okay with us knowing and seeing, but just her answering the question, is your husband buried yet? That is, can I just have one thing? Can me and my children just have one thing that's just for us? You didn't even have to tell us where he was buried. People just wanted to know, was he buried? It has come out since. Yeah, he had a private burial, a Catholic private burial. Yeah. All right, we're done with Frank. Get out of here, Frank. All right, let's go here. This is Andrew. Charlie Kirk show 3510. Right away. Let's get it. Oh, man. Hold on. I don't know why, but give me a second. Yeah, we're back. Let's see. No audio. Yeah, I know. No, it wasn't muted. I don't have inclement weather. It's sunny as a beautiful day out here. But every now and again, I don't know who does it to me, but they mess with it. You guys can hear me now, though, right? Let me add that back to the screen. Literally, I didn't change anything, so I don't know. Don't know why that happened, guys. Okay. Let me see. Thumbs up. Can you guys hear me now? Yes. Yes. Cool. When I hit play, let me know if you guys can hear it. I saw the prompt right away. It said that my internet browser had disconnected from the internet. I don't know why, though.
I wanted to have you on, Jay, because I was told you are one of the leading experts in the country when it comes to litigating in the court of law, violent crime, understanding the way motions work from the defense and the prosecution and all this. Obviously, a lot of news and noise was made when the Daily Mail dropped that headline, and it was reporting on the brief from the prosecutor and the defense attorney for Tyler Robinson, where it said the bullets did not match.
Actually, we've covered this one. This one's boring. They just regurgitate the same thing. This one's better, actually. Okay, let's go here. And I've already got it to the 18 mark. All right, let me make sure browser's good. There's no video. It's just audio. Okay.
Welcome back. So there's been a major forensic twist in the Charlie Kirk assassination trial, or has there been? Well, because this report came out and because, a rag newspaper said something, now there's a big heated debate because, all the black pillars, all the doomsday folks out there that got woken up and figured out COVID was a pandemic and that the 2020 election was rigged and the laptop was real, now think everything's a conspiracy theory. New court filings are raising questions about the murder weapon, but investigators say the hype may be missing the technical reality. See, there's always reality and facts, folks, not your favorite podcaster going, I know, I got the proof, even though I'll never show you. We're getting closer. We're getting closer.
They're obviously digging at Candace.
According to a report, first highlighted by the Daily Mail, a new court filing reveals the trial for up to 6 months. However, the prosecution...
They don't want to delay the trial. The defense doesn't want to delay the trial for 6 months because of this ATF report, okay? Because of this new finding, because of this inconclusive test from the bullet. It's because they have not been given all of the evidence, which the prosecution has only given them their conclusions, their conclusory, documents of the evidence. They haven't been able to test and have their experts comb through the evidence themselves. How can they do that in 4 weeks? That's insane. 600,000 something documents.
Firing back. Speaking on Fox News recently, former federal investigators emphasized a critical distinction, between unable to 100% identify and rule out. You see the difference?
Yeah, we agree.
Grifting and making money off y'all.
Oh my goodness.
Prosecutors maintain their broader case remains very tornado have used phony body language, social media every day.
Let me get to
come on today, and I expressed today, hearing what I just talked about with.
Hold on, Andrew Kolvet's on here. Hold on.
The possible delay and the questions of
social media. So let cameras in there, let them see the way that the justice system actually works. Let them.
I do agree with that. I think that there's people on the defense team that aren't trying to defend Tyler properly, and their attempts to make it look like, because the only reason why, a defense would not want the cameras in the courtroom, in my opinion, because the jury would already be selected by that point when the trial starts. It would just be us and the public. The only reason why a defense team would not want us to have access to the actual trial is, honestly, if the person is guilty. I don't know any other reason. Or you would want transparency. You would want the public to see, because then, for appeals, public opinion. And so I think there's people on Tyler's defense which are not doing him are not servicing him. And they're making decisions on his behalf, which actually make him look guilty to the public by saying, no cameras in the courtroom. And so I agree with Andrew and the prosecution on this, that they should 100% have cameras in the courtroom.
Hear the evidence for themselves.
I agree.
And, let the verdict be what it's going to be. We have a very robust judicial system and a process in this country to see if you're guilty or innocent. Let that process play out. I don't begrudge Tyler Robinson's defense from mounting a robust defense of him. That's what they're supposed to do. That's what they're paid to do. That's our system. What I really have a problem here with, Dan, is, and you pointed it out brilliantly, is this Daily Mail headline. I've called it media malfeasance. It's media malpractice. It's really, really sick stuff, the way that they presented it.
I agree.
And they formulated it, I think, in order to take advantage of this cottage industry that's developed online about all these conspiracy theories. So they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly who they were writing that for. And it's funny.
Yeah, but he says the same thing, that the internet and X developed antibodies, which came out in defense of the actual court ATF document, which says inconclusive. It doesn't say does not fit, does not match. And anyone who was honest and reported on that court document, no one said did not match. Okay. Only the Daily Mail and people that are actually grifting. I read it back when it came out 3-4 weeks ago. So did Barron. And we both read it exactly how it said. It said inconclusive. But I think that in itself is pretty damning to the prosecution. They have to be able to prove that the bullet pulled from Charlie Kirk's body in the autopsy matches the spent round casing and matches the Mauser. If they can't do that, nothing can tie that gun to the shooting of that bullet, which supposedly killed Charlie Kirk. Right? So if the bullet don't fit, if the rifle don't fit, you must acquit.
They made that tweet that got like 30 million impressions on X up in your first question.
Yep, good.
I just want people to remember before the next egregious headline, before the next crazy tweet.
It's grilling season, and
hold on. I just saw a super. I want to read it to you guys. All right. It says, do you think the footage Candace aired from behind Charlie is taken from way too low of an angle to match up with what the angle should be from the camera Farnsworth removed? Let's see. Let's look. Let me make sure it's on the screen. All right. So actually what I think we're looking at here, no, that's about right. It's also zoomed in, right? And it's also being looked at. So if she would have shown us the wide angle lens of it, no, that's it. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Let's see. I'll show you in a second. Let me type in. All right, let's see. Hold on, I'm getting it pulled up, guys. All right. And I'll try to find another photo of it too, the side photo. Okay, so Charlie was sitting. So if you see this little platform right there, right here, that Dan Flood was standing on, Charlie was sitting on a chair on top of a bigger platform. And so he was higher up. His head and body was about this high. Okay. The camera was mounted on this parallel right here. It was at the crevice where the tent turns into, where that part of the tent starts to go up. So at this part of the tent right here, but in the back. All right. And so, and it's a wide angle camera, and he wasn't like many, many feet away from the back of that tent. I actually think that's that's exactly what we'd be looking at. That's what it would look like. Let me see if there is a side photo from, let's see. I know what I can do. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. So there's the camera. Do you see it? It's right here. Okay. Camera's right here. And they had the ability to probably zoom it in and out, and they had it set up perfectly how they wanted it. But Charlie, you can't see it right here, but so here's the table. The platform that Charlie was sitting on was right behind his shoulder, okay? And the chair was on top of it. So Charlie's head would be about right here, sitting up, obviously back, you see where Terrell Farnsworth is? It'd be to his right in front, like right up in here. And that's about the height that we see from that camera. So I actually think that it is the perfect angle from what we see that day See how high he is above the actual table? Like, let's see. Let me find another one. Do you see how high up he is? See the table? All right. His chair's on a platform. His knees are above the hats. They're almost parallel with these cups. I saw another photo on X today where someone had scrubbed these binders out of the photo of the video and said that the photo was fake. So somebody messed with that video because the binders are there the whole time. They actually fly off when that one security guard jumps over the front to help. But so Charlie's huge. He's 6'4", 6'5", and he's sitting up above the table. All right. So if we go back, let's go back to the Candace Owens. Well, let me see if there's another photo. Hold on, I'm just scanning through it real quick. Oh, these are all in Japanese or Chinese. Hold on. Yeah. All right, let me go back. Yeah, let me go back. 1 second. Let me go to Candace. Let me make sure everything's working good. Okay. Yeah. So that angle seems right to me, you guys. All right. That's about how far it would be. It would seem closer, but it's a couple feet away and up. Right? Do you think you guys agree? Do you guys agree that it's the right angle? Also, this is on a computer screen. We don't know how Terrell edited it before he showed her, and then it's on a phone as well. Like he's using his phone to show her his computer screen, and she's on her phone. So there's a lot going on there, right? Let's see. Did I get all the supers? Yeah. Yeah, I did that. Okay, cool. Now, let me make sure. All right, I shared that already. Oh, I want to share this. Hopefully it doesn't mess with the stream because it's from X. I can't play the whole thing. It did mess with it. Gosh darn it, dude. So sorry. I don't know what the heck is going on, you guys. Literally all I did was go to the next tab. It better work now. All right. I can't share this whole video, but what we see here, and let me zoom in. All right. All right. So this is actually right next to where the LoC Center is. Literally, the LoC Center building would be like right up in this direction. Okay. This just came out today. You'll see in a second. Hold on. Right there's the corner of the first step in the LoC Center building, which kind of does like a steps up. And so if there was someone on the roof already, this person would have been able to see it. 100%. If someone was up there or walking up there, whoever's on this phone would have been able to see it. Specifically archaeologically. Yeah, and you can see where he's at, and that camera's like right up there on the inside of the tent. I can't share the rest. But what I think is interesting is that person is walking down to the event. It's already fully packed. That's around, and he's walking out or he's out and they're cheering. Whoever is walking up to Eagle Boy, walking up or is out on top of the roof already, the person filming this, walking around with their phone, they would have been able to see that person, and you don't. So I don't know. It's bizarre. So much about that person on the roof and when they were on the roof and how long they were on the roof and what they were doing on the roof. You know, if they had all of this, you know, surveillance footage from UVU that day, it would be stated in the charging documents that they have him laying down, taking the shot. It doesn't say that in the charging documents. It just says, it shows them climbing onto the roof. He goes out of view and then he comes out, he runs, and then he low crawls, and then it starts up again. And then we see him running after the shot. That's how the charging document reads. Why wouldn't it say, and we have the footage of him taking the shot? I don't know why it doesn't say that. It's so weird that it doesn't say that. I get that there's some evidence that they are going to release more of during the trial. That's a big piece in the charging document, which leads to their ability to ask for the death penalty and to hold Tyler without bail, and to have a warrant for his arrest, to say you have a camera footage which shows him taking the shot. I don't know why it wouldn't say that. It doesn't make sense that it doesn't say that. Yeah. I think that's pretty much all of what I wanted to show today. Oh, I do want to touch on this real quick. I'm not going to play this, but I'm just going to show you. Project Constitution, and I think it was Sword of Truth on X, answered Barron's call to use AI to create an artificial statement using Charlie Kirk's voice where he says, I appoint Baron Coleman as CEO of Turning Point. He proved within 48 hours, 24 hours that that's possible. Sword of Truth did that today. And then Project Constitution did one with a video, which obviously you can tell the video, it's not Charlie Kirk. You could tell that they used Charlie Kirk's image and videos to create it, but you could tell it's AI. With the audio, it's much harder to even say that Charlie never said that, but it's clear that it's AI because he never said that I appoint Baron Coleman. But it just proves that it's possible. And I believe that TPUSA and Erika and all of them would do that. I also believe that at this last interview, why they scheduled him, they kept him so busy in the last week, in the last 2 days leading up to the assassination. And they knew, and I believe some of them knew, that they were going to have him assassinated, and they were going to need footage. They were going to need him on tape saying certain things. 90% of what Erika and TPUSA played at AmFest, where he says, being vision-led and founder-led, and TPUSA should be able to survive without me. And, except for the Erika Kirk, Erika would take over. I appoint her to take over in my stead, or whatever he ends up saying in the end. That part's not from this interview, but all of these other statements that they've spliced in different arrangement and order for their AmFest event, recording of him to make him say whatever they want. He said a lot of those words in this interview, and you can go back. We broke this interview down months ago. It's on the channel. You guys can go look at it if you didn't see it from before. But I think that was very strategic in making sure this was one of the last podcast appearances, interviews that he did with anyone. This was that morning of the September 10th, where they talked about a lot of the things, and Charlie said the very same words, just in different contexts and order, that they used for that AI audio recording of Charlie at AmFest, where he says, Erika should take over. Erika, I appoint her. And I just think it's total nonsense. So, yep. All right. Is there any other questions or anything else? If you guys haven't already, please hit the like and the subscribe. It's the best way to help the channel. Is Apocalypse Now still here? Hey, I appreciate you so much. I'm so sorry for what happened to you on that other channel. And, you know, just saying that you think I'm based is, I think, no reason to be attacked in any way. And if anything, it just shows the kind of community that is, where if you don't agree wholeheartedly with everything that person says or does, then they just immediately attack you for saying something as, you know, just simple as, you know, I think Black Line Brief is based. And it almost was like they waited for the opportunity to then just attack me personally, which I've never done. I've never done that, and I would never do that. You know, and I'm struggling with even going into more detail right now, honestly, because I don't really feel like I need to, you know, and but I'll talk with others, and you know, if you guys have questions, if anyone was there that day and you guys saw what happened and know what happened and you want to know, okay, I see it now. Yeah. So here we go. Apocalypse said, yeah, I was surprised. He read some emails that sounded perfectly respectable, so it made no sense. Yeah. All right. So we'll just do this real quick. When I started this channel, and by the way, the growth of this channel and everything that has happened to this channel is 100% genuine, authentic from my hard work and your guys's value of that hard work, and whether or not you like and support the content that I create. If there wasn't a space for this channel to succeed, then it wouldn't succeed. If people didn't find value in the content and didn't want to be a part of it, then it would just wither and fall away. But the fact that it's grown completely, genuinely, authentically on its own to where it's been with no help from anyone bigger shows that we're all on to something here, and we all benefit from this and genuinely love this community. I used to follow many different content creators from before. I respected them. I liked their work. Danks was one of them. And I still never have publicly attacked him as a person. All I've said was when Jesse on Fire started this whole Charlie Kirk is alive theory, and then Danks, then Kelly Rabin and Bays and Jordan Henshaw started all working together and saying this to me, and Zach Costello said it perfectly today as well on Coach Colin's show, that if you knew Charlie and you believe that Charlie was a genuine, authentic Christian man, and that and like Tucker, he's the same person publicly as he is privately, that he would never do what they're accusing him of. And Jordan goes on with Kelly and says about a video that Blake Bednar's put on X when they're carrying him out, that he's wearing a fat suit. And then he says his private parts, but he uses the DICK word, should be hanging out about Charlie's dead body as they take him out. And Kelly's on screen with them, and Kelly and Danks and all, they're all using each other. All I said was someone that they do that, I just don't trust it. And I don't think that they're good people. That's all I've said. That's it. I don't trust people that say those things and do those things. And since they all work together and they use each other's name and they plug each other and they clearly call one another, all I've said was, I don't trust those people. You guys can make your own decision on that. Okay. In the beginning, I'd reached out to a number of people, okay, and said, hey, you know, I have a growing YouTube channel. We're all in the similar space. This was before they started spouting the whole Charlie Kirk is alive theory. And I said, hey, I just wanted to start the conversation of possibly doing a collab in the future. That's it. At that time, Danks got back to me and said, you know, I'm keeping my circle tight and I'm not doing any new collabs with anyone I don't know, but keep it up. I like what you're doing. Keep it up. The problem with that is He hadn't even met Baze yet. He didn't even, and Baze said this. Baze said this on a live when they were trashing me for 45 minutes, saying that like I don't do jujitsu, or he doesn't believe I'm the rank I am, whatever, dude. Like that's something I lie about, whatever. My professor's here. He freaking watches the channel. Give me a break. But that Baze said in making fun of me that Danks said no to me. Like I asked him for help. I didn't ask anyone for help. I didn't ask anyone to plug my channel or to help me out. I said I wanted to start a conversation about possibly doing a collab. That's it. He said no, but he lied. And he said that he's keeping his circle small, only to people he already knew and work with because of the falling out that happened between him and Project Constitution. I was like, okay, no worries. But the next week, him and Baze started going live every day and then started going live with Kelly, which they hadn't done before. Come to find out, they all met each other on Ian Carroll's Discord chat after my email. So Danks wasn't being honest. And so all I did in those emails, which I've never shared publicly, which is just very weird, that all Apocalypse did would say, Matt is based. Then he goes off on me, which he had already done. Him and like 3 other people spent 45 minutes trashing me for freaking 45 minutes on one of their lives, which I've never done, and I'm not going to. But then he pulls up my emails to him as some sort of proof that I don't know what he concluded. I didn't go watch it. I'm not going to. It's ridiculous. But the whole premise is faulty because he said that I overreacted, which I didn't. I said, okay, that's fine. But I said you lied, and I don't trust you because you're lying. You said that you kept your circle small with the people that you knew, but Baze even said, and you agreed, you hadn't even met Baze yet. So it wasn't about you keeping your circle tight. It was about something else, and I don't know what it is, and that's fine. Come to find out, we're not the same. Okay? We don't agree on a lot of things. Okay? And so God saved me from that. I also had to learn the hard way when I did a collab with someone else and come to find out their character and who they are is not good either. And I've had to learn this journey, this space the hard way. You know, it is what it is. But in that live, Dank said that Blake Bednards, who I haven't spoke to in weeks because he just ghosted me because he was playing sides and working with Kelly and then telling me he was trying to out her and all of them. He believes that they're all feds and that they're all working an op together. And I have receipts for that, but I don't need to show it. But Dank said that Blake was telling them recently that I was talking smack about them still, which I hadn't been. I hadn't talked about them, and I never talked smack about them. I just said I don't trust them. Bottom line. I asked Blake, why would they be saying this? He goes, dude, because they are who they are and they're liars, and I haven't spoke to them in weeks, and I got the receipts if you want me to show you. I got the phone calls and the text messages. I haven't spoken to them in over 2 to 3 weeks. So that's it. That's it. Yeah. Don't do what? I'm not going to do anything. That's it. Yeah, they're a distraction. I agree, you guys. It's right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I just wanted to explain to Apocalypse. That's all I'm going to say on that. And that's it. Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much for everything. You guys are a blessing. I love you guys. God bless you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, wait, we got one. Better 300 loyal audience than 10,000 chatty Cathys. You're doing great, Matt. Thank you, Sassy Sweet Tea. I agree, you know. I agree that this community is a healthy, positive, uplifting community. And I never was trying to do anything in this space for growth and numbers, for the sake of growth, for the sake of numbers, for money. And I'm 100% happy with who's part of this community, who's here, and what we've built together. All I did was start the channel and start talking and filming it. You guys actually are the ones that helped cultivate the quality of the community. You guys, the members, the loyal people that show up every day, and the mods are the ones that have set the pace and the tone of this community. And I thank you guys for that. And I'm blessed because of that. And I'm glad that I can be a blessing to you and you can be a blessing to me. And that's it. And I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for everything. BLB is based. You're awesome, Apocalypse. Thank you so much. You're based. Mystic is based. Jim Bear is based. Bree Baby X is based. Sonia Moore is based. Kindness is Great is based. Jay is based. Oh my goodness. Who else is based? Renita is based. Sweet Sassy T is based. I said Apocalypse Now is based. Glenn Coco is based. Let's see. Sunny Days is based. You guys are all based. Ultraviolet, Steffi 31, Sonia Moore, Kindness, I said. Ryblick, all the regulars, Common Sense Collective. I don't know how a fly got in my room. I've been swatting at him all day. It's like a little gnat. It's because we're going into spring up here in Idaho. And so all the bugs are coming out. Moni Lopez is based. The Best Heather B. You guys are all amazing. Sunny Days, I said that. All right, I think I got mostly everybody. Thank you guys so much for everything. Stay tuned for tomorrow's show. We'll have a good show tomorrow. And then, yeah, I'll let you guys know about times of the shows next week. Love you guys. God bless you guys.